Hola, mi gente, and welcome back to another episode of Growing Up Spanglish. I'm your girl, Roxy, a.k.a. Rosaline, and we're coming to you live from CoLab Studios in the heart of Miami. We're going to welcome this week's guest. You can do a little intro.
Roxy, I get nervous around people, so you might have to assist me.
Let the people know your name.
Okay.
What do you do?
Okay. I am Kamari Esson. Is this camera right? I am Kamari Esson. I am a DJ and a producer from Miami, and I've known Roxy for God knows how long at this point.
My Aries brother.
We are Aries. I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
We are twin
But
flames.
you are, unlike me, I'm very shout out. You're like a silent killer. People don't really know about Kamari.
No, they don't. They don't at all. I'm very reserved.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or so it seems. And then, of course, we have my empanada, my dog over here.
Yo, what's up, y'all? How's it going? It's KJ here. Tuning in. We lit. Let's get it.
Let's get into it. Kamari, before we even dive in, tell the people your nationality.
My nationality get a little tricky, right? Because on my mother's side, they are African American.
Okay.
My father's side of my family comes from Cuba, but my grandparents, God bless them, I don't know if they was lying to me or I don't know if they was telling the truth. I know at one point my grandmother told me we was Japanese, and I was like, all right, bro. But when my grandmother passed away, I was reading her obituary, and she and my grandfather both said this about their parents. So they both have one parent that was from Jamaica and one parent that was from Trinidad, and her obituary confirmed that. So they got a whole lot of things going on over there, but they are born and raised in Cuba. But they, like I said, a whole lot of things. Like my grandmother spoke perfect Spanish. She spoke a little bit of broken English, but her English was good, but she had a Jamaican accent. So when she would say certain things, I'd be like, that don't make sense. Like, she'd be like, liquor. Or she'd be like, you want some ice cream? And I'm like, but you speak Spanish. So where did this come from?
That's
Black
really
and Cuban.
interesting, though.
Yeah,
but your dad was born...
Dad was born in Cuba. All my dad's side of my
okay.
family, outside of me, my little sisters, and my younger cousin, we were all born here, but the rest of them, like my dad, my aunt, my uncle, grandparents, all born in Cuba, and they came here in the 80s when Fidel told everybody, you guys can go. That's when they came.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So does your dad have that Jamaican accent?
No.
Okay.
That's really my grandmother and my grandfather, because like my grandfather, he would speak too, and he'd say certain things. He'd be like, my father, and I'd be like, you're what? You're huh? I obviously got used to it after a while, but then when I got older, I was like, that don't make sense, but it do. But now I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, those two specifically, they had the accents, which is still crazy.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. So do you know the story of how your family decided to come here?
I do.
Let us know. Break it down.
So my grandfather told me, mind you, this is the story he gave me. I'm pretty sure it's accurate. My grandfather, he's got like a big personality. So from what my grandfather told me, he worked for an embassy in Cuba.
Okay.
And somehow ended up becoming a political prisoner. And because of the mass exodus, they were able to leave Cuba. So they left Cuba. They got here, but my grandfather's brother, if I'm not mistaken, he said he was able to leave before. So he hopped around a few different places. He said he went to, I think, Trinidad. I know for sure he said Jamaica. And he said he came here. So when my family, like my actual family, got here, they didn't know anybody. They didn't know where to go. But apparently they were like on TV, like as all Cubans were when they first got here. Like, you know, they were just interviewing different people.
Like
so they interviewed
on
them.
The water, again off the boats.
Basically, you know how like in Scarface, they had those little camps.
Yeah.
And everybody was there. So I believe it was like in those type of areas. But my grandfather was like, we're not staying here. We got to get the hell out of here because my brother is here. But he had said that on TV. So they're like basically homeless, wandering around Miami, trying to figure out like, yo, where are we? And they were trying to get on the bus. And the bus driver was like, do you have fare? And they were like, no, I just got here. And the dude wouldn't let them on the bus.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandfather says, literally, the bus drives by and my uncle pulls right up.
Oh,
he just
wow.
was able to, I guess he
Watching
saw
the
it
news.
and he just was like, oh, okay, I gotta go right now. And he was just looking around and he just so happened to find them within that area. So like their journey starts from there, basically.
And how many was with them?
I'm pretty sure it was the 5 of them, which is
Okay.
like my uncle, my aunt, my dad, and then my grandparents. I
Okay.
don't remember him saying if it was anybody else, but I believe it was the 5 of them.
Okay. And where was your uncle when he was already settled here?
Here, yeah. I don't know exactly where he was. The thing is that with my great uncle, I don't really remember too much. He passed away a few years ago, but I don't really remember too much of him because I think he had also, by the time I got like older, he went back to Jamaica.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I believe so. The story still be scrambled in my brain. So,
So when your family eventually settles, where's that part of your family?
I also don't remember the original part where they settled, but I know for the most part they lived in Carol City, Hialeah.
Oh, okay.
So the house that I grew up in, I used to go there on the weekends, right? Because my mom's side of my family, they lived directly in Opa-locka. So to get to my dad's house, it's maybe like a 10-minute drive. My dad would pick me up on the weekends, or my mom would drop me off, whichever the case, and I would be there. But that house, I still pretty much drive by it every time I'm on like 826.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going to a studio session, like there's a studio I work out of, I literally have to drive by that house every time there specifically. Like,
Is it
Carol
still in
City-
the family?
No, somebody else owns it, but it essentially still looks like from the outside, it looks the same.
Yeah. Do you miss it?
Sometimes I'll be driving by. You know how like when you've driven by or you lived in a certain area,
Yeah.
a lot of things start to come back and you're like,
Mhm.
oh, I remember this or I remember this or I remember this. So
Yeah.
there's certain times like when I drive by, even if I'm on the 826, I'll still look for that exact street. Like, because as I'm driving, I can see it. I'm like, oh, okay, there's the street. I still know the street.
Yeah.
And then sometimes if I'm going local, I'll just be like, you know what? Let me go drive by the house and see what it looks like.
Yeah.
I never see anybody there.
I totally feel that same way when it comes to my childhood home. And I always have a little sadness about it. If you are lucky enough to like still have a childhood home in your life, or like maybe a grandparent's home in your life, that is such an amazing like feeling. Cause I don't know, to me, like I'm really big on like roots and stability. And so I equate having that place to go back to as like a safe environment kind of thing. But my parents ended up selling our childhood home, like, I think it's been like almost 8 years maybe now. And and it was like smack dab on a main street, like literally North Miami
So
Avenue.
you can't miss it.
You cannot miss it. Especially, I really hate driving on 95 because I don't do traffic. So I will take the back street, and the back street is that road.
Always, yeah.
So I always pass the house, and I get so sad. I always feel like, hey, house, are they treating you good?
They sold that house when I was 11 or 12 years old. I think right before I went to high school, they moved to Palm Beach. Right?
Okay.
But not Palm Beach that everybody knows. They moved in the country part of Palm Beach, which is now being gentrified.
Is the country part of Palm Beach west of 95?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't know directions at all.
Okay,
I'm terrible
95,
with that.
right? East is the beach. West is everything else.
West is everything. Then that's exactly
Then,
where.
okay.
I know the exact exit that you got to get off on.
What's that?
It's Southern Boulevard. That's the one where I know I get off on there, and then I get off on the loop, and I got to drive like another 30 minutes to get to their house.
Deep, okay.
They live by Lion Country Safari.
So
It's deep out there, but they bought like land and literally built an entire house
Wow, I love
on
that.
that land.
Okay.
Until my grandmother passed, they lived there, and my grandfather still is currently there. But yeah, so they still have that house, and then my grandparents on my mom's side, they done had their house since like before I was born.
I hope they never get rid of it. I just think it's just like really awesome to have that connection and have something that all the kids can go back to.
Yeah, I do. I hope they don't get rid of it either, because also housing prices are crazy.
Oh, that's
man.
true.
So it's
That
like
part.
let's keep that.
Because you never know. You never know.
You never know. Somebody may
You gotta
need
have
it,
a homestead to go to.
Exact. Homestead. Yeah.
Have you ever been to the Lion? What is it? Lion Country Safari?
I went one time.
I don't think I've ever been. Have y'all ever been? No.
It's cool.
Nah, that ain't really mine.
But you've been to Metro Zoo?
It's cool. It's if you
Yeah.
Wait, have you ever been to Metro Zoo?
Yeah, I've been to the zoo.
Oh, okay.
Here? Yeah.
Lion Country Safari is like going to Metro Zoo in your car.
Oh, okay.
So the whole thing is that, at least from what I remember, I don't know if they revamped the program, but the basis of it is for you to basically do the zoo thing, but it's like a country safari. So you're literally in the car and you're going through the tracks with all the animals that they have.
Oh, so it's not just lions?
No, they
have
like,
other.
They got no. They got a wide variety.
Okay.
But did they have lions when I was there?
That's crazy.
I think the zoo is a scam. If y'all want my honest truth on
Let's
it.
talk
The
about
zoo
it.
is a scam.
The zoo is a scam. Check me out, right?
Okay.
Because from the perspective of, think about it this way. You could set up a zoo and not have any animals in it and just be like, they didn't show up today.
Oh,
Like they
yeah,
just didn't
they're
come to the front.
sleeping.
They're sleeping. Yeah,
Not
sleeping
in
my
Lion Country
ass.
Safari.
Not
I for sure remember the lion walking by. What's good, y'all boys? Like, just a whole line in my car. We're not in. This isn't anywhere in Africa where they.
I believe you.
This isn't a habitat. This is the middle of Florida.
Yeah.
Y'all got lions.
I stand by it. I think that all zoos are a scam. Like
Yeah.
every zoo I've ever been to, the animals are asleep. They're like chilling and relaxing, or you don't see them at all in the exhibit. And you're just like,
I think I've
bruh.
only ever been to Metro Zoo, and it's not called Metro Zoo anymore. It's called Zoo Miami.
Yeah.
That's even gentrified. That's a terrible name.
It's still called Metro Zoo? Oh, Miami Metro,
Metro
Zoo.
Zoo.
My bad.
Oh,
I only went once, and it was for a birthday. Maybe, let's say, like around 10 or something like that. And I only remember that you can make those wax
I remember
figures. You know what I'm talking about?
I can still smell those.
Yeah,
things.
you would put like a coin or however, whatever, and then they still have them? That's crazy.
They used to have two. It was that, and then you put the penny in.
Oh, and then they
and it
smush the
it.
penny.
And I remember that. I went to the zoo a few times.
You
like,
lived at some point.
but it wasn't like like my parents were like, or my mom was like, hey, you want to go to the zoo? It was more so like I would go to like other people's birthday parties, or for some reason we'd have school field trips to the zoo, and they'd be like, y'all boys, we already did this. Like, we gonna do it again? I don't really think it's necessary.
Yeah.
But I went a few times, but it's cool. I remember I read something that Fox was trying to build an entire water park behind
The zoo?
the zoo. Like, they wanted to compete with like Universal. And I'm like, you want to do this in a residential neighborhood? You want to build a theme park?
Remember when they tried to, I don't know if it's still in the works, that they've been trying to create this mega mall super on
Miami
the
World
west
Center?
side
You talking about Miami World Center?
No, it's supposed to be comparative to Malls of America.
in
or
Minneapolis.
Yeah, Minneapolis, or the one that they built in Jersey.
Oh, you're
It's
talking
supposed to
about
be of
next
that
to
scale.
the soccer stadium.
Yeah.
That's where they wanted to put it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
The
I just know it
Miami
was
Stadium.
super west.
They wanted to put it over
And people
there.
were like, hello, the Everglades. And they were like, oh,
We
yeah.
forgot. How about
capitalism.
the crocodiles?
Baby, we gotta get this money. I don't know what y'all talking about. The Gators will be all right.
It's cool. It's cool.
No, but I always just think about how crazy the changes. Even when you walked in here, I'm like, oh, have you ever been? You're like, this is a relic. This is like,
The Last Mohican,
yeah.
Miami. Yeah, this
Yeah.
is a time warp. There's only certain spots in Miami where it's like the Miami we grew up in is still there. Like, a lot of stuff. I was actually thinking about this on the way here because I was driving and I was just looking at certain things. If you grew up during a specific time in Miami,
Mhm.
you remember a lot of things. There were a lot of things that were culturally just a part of the city.
Yeah.
And now it's just, you only get that if you go deep into
Right.
the city and try to find it. You're not
Right.
going to necessarily be presented that. I think it's called like the Manhattanization. Like
Okay.
they're trying to, I remember at one point, because I remember in high school, I was really like into this. So I was looking up like real estate within the city.
Okay.
And they were talking about the Manhattanization and trying to make Miami a walking city.
Ah, okay.
So
Gotcha.
that started in like downtown where they were building like all the residential areas, and that's where the Miami World Center thing came up. And then I guess it spread to Wynwood and Brickell and blah, 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 blah. But they were really hell-bent on, yo, we are trying to make this as Times Square-ish as possible.
Right.
But with all of that comes, getting rid of cultural aspects and things that no longer fit the need of what they want within the city.
There's a lot of people that when you say, oh, I'm sick of Miami or I want to leave Miami, they're like, why? Everything's here. Why would you want to leave? Where are you going to go? What's better than this? And it's just like,
Earth?
Like, don't get me wrong, I love Miami. And there was a long period of my life where like I used to think that too. Just because I'd be like, what is it like? Born and raised in the county of Dade. I'm never going to leave. This is paradise. We've got the beach, the weather. I do not like the cold. I can't do the snow. But as I've gotten older, and I think post-COVID Miami, I think COVID Miami really just showed me this shit is crazy. This shit is bananas. There is no reason why this city should be functioning like this
COVID
in a global pandemic.
You'll never see Miami like that again.
It was insane. But can we talk about why do people come to Miami and act like they've never been outside before?
It's because they can't get to Mexico. Like they can't get to an equivalent, like
we're the closest to that.
We're the closest to that within the U.S. or the closest to like Cancun spring break in the U.S.
Jamaica,
so
Tulum, this, that, and the
quick
third.
trip.
You think people are acting this wild in Jamaica?
No, they're afraid of the jails there. They're not afraid of jail here because it's still U.S. jail.
Yeah.
But like from the standpoint of if I want a quick trip, I got 3 days, 2 days. I can't take myself I can't go to Cabo from New York, but I can go to Miami.
Right.
I can't take myself to Hawaii from New York. So like New York, Jersey, Northeast as a whole, they come down here and go crazy. And then you got to think about it from the standpoint of everyone who's from a small town in the Midwest or the true South, right? Like for them, bruh, it's beaches, it's water, it's women, it's alcohol, it's clubs till 5 a.m. In A-Town, shit close at 2.
That's true.
And
this shit different.
We positioned ourselves like that. So if you think about it, like, I want to say since maybe like the 80s, Miami has always been like looked at as that sort of destination. It's like, yo, you can go to Miami. And
anything goes.
Anything go. It's like a hot version of a beach having version of Vegas, if you think about it, right? Mm-hmm. But as each decade progresses, Miami just turns into something different over and over, but it's still a destination. I never understood the New York thing though, because I never understood why New Yorkers moved to Miami and Miami people moved to New York.
So check this out. I was gonna tell you guys, first and foremost, feel the privilege of growing up in Miami, but also like when you leave Miami, you get the perspective of like why Miami's special to some degree. Now, from the standpoint of why New Yorkers move down here, believe it or not, Miami was partially founded by a New Yorker. The Flagler family are from New York. So if you do some history from that space, it was always designed to be the Wall Street of the South. And that was the reason they wanted to drive business down here. So it's ingrained now, like we're twin sisters to some degree. Mm-hmm. Fraternal, like like we ain't really look the same. You feel me? Like, but it's from the standpoint of they're almost foundationally connected to some degree.
Yeah.
And that's why people from New York is like, and on top of that, taxes, bro. I'm skating from Texas.
That part.
Listen,
no state tax.
I'm currently in a pickle because I'm trying to figure out, because I am one of those people who are not like, yo, I want to move.
You're trying to bounce.
I want to leave, right? I've been here for 31 years. It's like, bro, I think I deserve maybe just a year somewhere else.
Yeah.
Right? But then I'll be like, yo, taxes, how much?
Nashville. I can give you like a short list, I think, real quick. Don't quote me on this. There's 11 states. Nashville, Tennessee, Washington is on that list. I believe Arizona is on that list. Delaware might be on that list. Shit, this is all from the top of head. But it's legit only 11 states that have no state income tax. Everywhere else, you're going to pay some kind of thing. So look for the lowest rates possible. If you choose California, you make a certain bracket, it's 30 to 40% of your check.
Yeah.
Same with New York.
That's crazy.
See,
yes.
That's my dilemma. Right now, I'm in a space where like I live here and I work here and I make a good amount of money here and I can bounce around to different cities, like the cities that I feel like I need to be in. But then I think about, okay, if I go over here, like I just came back from LA, right? And I was staying with a friend and we were just having a conversation. about places to live in, and he was showing me around, and he was like, we have rent control over here. And I was like,
They do?
they have, California has rent control.
Oh, okay.
Florida has none.
Oh, no, obviously Florida doesn't. I
think
thought it
it's
was a New York thing. I didn't know.
No, I think it's certain buildings of a certain age within California. New York for sure has rent control, and that's also, I think, the same. Buildings of
But
a
is
certain
it
age.
rent control in the sense that whatever you lock in, like the landlord can never raise it? Is that?
To my understanding, that's what I was told, because he was like, I have friends that are paying like way less than me, and he's paying $1,900 for his place, but he's like, they're paying way less than me, and it's locked in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
$1,900 in LA is pretty cheap.
That's a steal.
But it's a studio.
Oh,
Okay,
that's
okay,
not
okay.
a steal. That's a robbery.
It's a brand new, full amenities.
Okay.
Washer and dryer, because I noticed when I was looking for places, a lot of places
Don't have washer dryer.
don't have just whole communal units.
Coin-
I'm like,
coin laundry,
listen,
bro.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not trying to shoot no Cinemax scene in here. I need my own washer and dryer.
Yo, so here are your options on no state taxes: Alaska, Florida, Nevada, New Hampshire, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Washington, and Wyoming.
Texas is the only other option. And Texas
well-
is steaming hot. Like, here is cool.
That's
it's hot.
crazy.
Texas is flame broiled hot.
I don't know if I
so-
could do Texas.
Yeah.
Politically speaking.
True.
That's crazy.
But I had a point in time where I was looking at real estate in Texas, and it's like you can still get certain things. Like if you're trying to own a home,
Mhm.
you can actually own a home in Texas and not go through capitalism. You don't have to go through the prices that you're getting everywhere else.
Right.
Like you can still get an insane house.
Have you
for
considered
$300,000.
Atlanta?
Georgia was not on that list, first and foremost, of the tax state, no state
damn
taxes.
it.
Georgia isn't,
We're
but-
bringing it back. So.
Also, Texas, do your research on property taxes. I'll leave it there. I'm not
Property
gonna
taxes
ruin.
are
I'm not gonna
insane.
ruin anyone's dreams, but do your research.
already
Sorry,
know.
this is a financial podcast now.
I was gonna say Atlanta. I'm sorry if any of my friends from Atlanta see this. I'm so sorry. I love y'all. Y'all always show me the most hospitality in any city I've ever had. Atlanta is too slow for me,
Okay.
but it's none but black people, which is amazing. But it's so for me.
As I get
it's-
older,
I understand. I get it.
I often fantasize
Of a slow
of
living.
a slow,
I get it.
peaceful.
get it.
I'm living in a world where I'm just like, I want to be as stress-free
As
as
of
possible.
course.
I do not want chaotic energy around me. I want everything to be very chill.
Listen, I've come to the conclusion that I understand why old people sit on the porch and
Yes.
do nothing. I get it. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's just, y'all take that over there. My porch is silent. I don't want anybody bothering me. I get it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wait, you're a DJ, dog. So you deal with all kinds of noise all the time. How are you doing that as like an adult now?
Going back to the reserve thing that you just said earlier, a lot of people will give me hell about this because I'll DJ, I'll do what I got to do, and when
And
I
then
switch off,
bounce.
no, I stay the whole night.
Oh, okay.
But I'm gonna sit in the corner by myself
And chill.
and watch dog videos and get this little dopamine hit, get my energy levels back up. I need certain things and I need to decompress because I feel like, especially in a post-COVID society, I feel like when it comes to DJing, people don't understand the mechanisms or like the inner workings of it. So you get a lot of people phone to their forehead, hey, play this, or people coming up to the booth and just thinking that like this space is also theirs and it's no, there's a reason this is sectioned off. Like this is y'all space, this is yours to enjoy, this is mine to provide your enjoyment. But post-COVID, a lot of those lines have been blurred
Mhm.
and people feel like they can enter your space. So I have to find ways, even when I'm playing, to cancel everybody out. And when I get off, I have to find ways to cancel everybody out. So like when I drive home after, it's either silence or the most silent music I could possibly listen to.
Some
Unless I'm in
jazz.
that zone, then I'm just going home to Boss Man D-Lo for some reason. Or I'm listening
Gotta get in
to,
with me, baby.
exactly. Or I'm listening to podcasts. Like I
Yeah.
have to find ways to cut my brain off at all times.
Yeah, I think the other thing too is that as a DJ, there's this misconception or somewhere along the lines, like you are the DJ, you provide the vibes. You don't have to be the party promoter. You don't have to be the party host. You were just there to play the music and set the tone. And you can do that without having to be all up in everybody's faces, without having to, when you get off, let's go crazy, let's have drinks. Like it is possible, but there's this like idea that DJs have to be all of the other things. And I often see these arguments about like, when you hire a DJ, it's not the DJ's job to promote the party. They got hired to DJ.
Before you going on that though, I'm gonna agree with Roxy here. Only reason I say that is because that was part of the argument that actors had in the standpoint of Hollywood, right? To some portion of it was like, yeah, you can't force me to go city to city to do openings because I'm not a promoter. You hired me for this role. That's the back end. Like now, if you're talking about doing extra, it's this.
You gotta pay me more. Okay, here's where I'm divided on it, right? I understand the sentiment of I'm not supposed to do more than my job. My job is already to provide for this entire landscape, meaning that if you're a promoter, if you're a host, if you're this, none of this basically works without us. And I think in a post-COVID society, you start to see the DJ become even more. I think pre-COVID, but post-COVID, you start to see the DJ become even more because I feel like during COVID, people had enough free time to be like, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. So you see a lot of people who weren't DJs, but they were really good on social media. They now enter the DJ space. They already have that promoter mindset, so they are more attractive to people who are actually booking events or brands or things of that nature. So now you have people who are trying to keep up. You have DJs, actual DJs, who are trying to keep up with these people because they're like, damn, I want that attention. I want this. So now you feel like you have to, right? Mm-hmm. So I understand the sentiment of you shouldn't do that because your job is already enough as is. But I also understand the side of if you want to become a bigger entity, you have to play the rules of the game. The game is always going to change. Are you going to adapt or are you just going to sit there and be like, oh, I'm not doing that? It's okay. That's cool. But now you are going to have to find a way to compete is a bad word, but essentially you're going to have to find a way to compete with the individuals who are doing more because you may have a talent level that is way above these individuals in terms of the skill of DJing, but their talent level when it comes to their visibility and making themselves known will eclipse you, right? It's going to eclipse you on social media where the branding portion of it matters, but when they get in that room, obviously, you putting belt to ass every time. But I get both sides.
I'm not I can be on Instagram all day pushing content that I don't care about. I'm just not that person.
Yeah.
But the photographers now have to be part that as well of, yo, not only do I do photo, I also have to do video. I also have to show you my BTS. I also have to show you how I'm editing these things. Full-on content creator in order to get the gig for photography. And it's, bro, my photos is fucking raw. What are we talking about?
You have to do this.
Yeah, I shouldn't have to do that to get the job. You should see the photos and be like, them shits is good. All right, what's next? So to me, it's the same as the DJ. Yo, you know what you're going to get with a certain DJ at a certain party. Sometimes, bro, the DJ be ass. All they got is the strip club voice. Right now, don't go ahead, throw your money. That's all they got sometimes.
Yeah.
Listen.
Hey, don't get your shit off right here.
Listen. No, because it's not more so of a shitting on people who DJ. I maybe when I was younger, I had those sentiments. This person sucks, I don't care, right? But as I've gotten older, I know how hard it is to just try to do something.
Yeah.
So I don't knock anybody, whether you're the best or you're the absolute worst. I don't knock anybody because it's billions of people on earth who will see you and be like, damn, I wish I had enough charisma to just try it, just do it. So I don't knock people who are not necessarily good. Now, I see people who do, and it's, hey, you got to deal with that. You know what I'm saying? If I see somebody and I feel like they're not good, I won't knock them. Maybe if they ask for my opinion, some people will. Some people be like, I don't give a damn about your opinion, which is cool. That's cool too. This is your life. But if you ask, I may tell you like, hey, you could probably do this a little bit better, or maybe you should work on this. But I'll never knock somebody for trying, even if I think they're not good. I could tell you today, like, are you trash? You hang it up. And you can come back in a year and be like, you cooking. Or you could still be trash in a year. But that's cool because if this is your first time, yeah, it might take you some years. I've been DJing for, I want to say like almost 10 years now. It feels, I think, almost 10 years. And I really feel like I probably just got good within the last year.
What do you think is making you feel that you just got good now?
I'm around people that are making me better because I have certain people who I've been working with for years and I start to see their skill level go up a little bit more. And sometimes I'm like, damn, they're doing a little bit more. I got to do more. Or maybe it's like a part of my brain clicked because I also took a break for a year and some change. And I was done with DJing. I was only focused on production. And then Louis, shout out to Louis Arson.
Man, that's my favorite DJ.
The Haitian sensation. He pulled me to the side one day. He's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, what do you mean? What am I doing? I'm like, I'm here with you. He's no idiot. What are you doing? Like in life? He's like, yeah. He's like, I'm like, I'm just working on music right now. He's like, yeah, you're bugging. You need to start DJing again. It's too much money out here. What are you doing? And I was like, I don't know. And he just kept bothering me. And I was like, all right. So he booked me for Ripe Fruit, his party on Thursdays at Lucky. And I played and I just got that bug again. And I just started coming around and people started asking me again, oh, you stopped DJing? I was like, I did for a little bit, but I'm back. And I slowly started to integrate myself within the community again. But in doing so, it just introduced me to a whole bunch of newer people who they could be up to the standard of what I already know. They could not be. They could be way past the standard. But it's like I took that time as, hey, let me go learn from everybody what to do, what not to do, what could be better, what could be worse, this, that, and the third. And I just been applying that. But consistently playing as I am right now, I feel like I've been playing more than I ever have. It just made me better. I think my timing is better. My cues are better. The only thing I don't know how to do is scratch. And I'm working on that now because all my friends know how to scratch. And I'm like, I don't want to be at the bottom of the barrel unless I can't get certain things
Not to say
off.
that you shouldn't learn the skill sets that you want, but do you think that people younger than us care about that?
Yes and no.
Do you think it's impressive still, or?
I think so. I just think you can't be Mr. Wiki all night. There's certain things that I think work well because I see it firsthand. If you're just scratching in general, if you're crispy with it and you're not doing too much, it only enhances what you're doing. But I think younger people care because post-COVID, there are so many people who do this now that may not know the fundamentals of doing it. So when you see somebody who was properly trained and came from the fundamentals, it's impressive because if you can keep up with what younger people are doing, but you have the fundamentals of what the older generation was doing and you could put them both together well, it makes people be like, who is that?
That's
like,
true.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
You know?
But I think I should also rephrase that to be, do you think the younger generations in the Miami club scene, because as you're explaining this, I'm like, there's a whole world. I think we forget because we're so ingrained in just like Miami lifestyle that there is like an entire world outside of here where people don't care about things that are happening in Miami and like completely can appreciate things that in Miami might feel like, oh, that's too much, or oh, that's retire that, or, and I wonder if there's like a sense of as a DJ where you might feel like confined to that club culture.
Yeah, but no. I think for me, I'm fortunate enough to play in places where the crowds, even though, every city has regulars or people who like to attend certain events, right? So I think for me, I'm fortunate enough to have that, but also have not reoccurring crowds. So I get to see different faces all the time. So these people appreciate the things that we do, but also they're just doing their own thing while they're here. Because some people are tourists, some people are just, they didn't know. So this is their first time experiencing wherever I'm at or whoever I'm playing with. So I think, like you said, yeah, there are people who are outside of the bubble, but I think younger crowds still care.
Yeah.
Going back to the younger crowd, right, and the care, good skill, good music, all of those things encompassed. what was the moment for you in your younger years that you were like, I love this shit. I want to do this. And did anyone in like your upbringing introduce you to music to a certain way or help you like figure that sound out or figure out what you really wanted to touch?
If we're talking about like people introducing me into music, that's a whole different conversation because like my family is so diverse.
Give us
in
that.
their taste.
Yeah.
So like my Cuban side of my family, they all had their own thing. Like my aunt, both of my aunts on my mom and my dad's side, they were always like the coolest people to me growing up because they liked certain things. So like my aunt on my dad's side was like super chic. She liked like Kim. She liked LL Cool J, but her favorite artist is Sade, which is why my favorite artist is Sade. But then like my grandparents, they liked Celia Cruz. They liked Bob Marley. They liked Barry White. But then my dad and my uncle were like the young guys, so they had all the rap albums. So they had all the Nas, all the Wu-Tang, all the Biggie. But then they would have certain gems. Like I remember one day I went into my uncle's room and he had songs about Jane, the first Maroon 5 album. And I was like, what's this? So I grabbed it. But then on my mom's side, my mom had me when she was young. So she was, whatever was current at the time, she always had. So she had all the R&B music, right? But then my grandparents, they had all the older R&B. And then my aunt was a diehard Jay-Z fan. So everything Rockefeller, she had. So it's like I was able to grasp all of that, and that, it inspired my taste. But then as a kid, if you grew up in the 90s, you watched 106 in Park, you watched TRL. So it's nothing for you to see like a Redman video and a Christina Aguilera video within 20 seconds of each other, right? So I think those type of things basically inspired everything that I like at this point, right? And then as I got older, you start to develop your own taste. You start to like certain things. I was in middle school and high school. Obviously, I was big in the sneaker community. So I liked certain artists that would correlate with that, like Pharrell, Kanye. I liked Wale. I like Kid Cudi. I like these type of individuals. And I read something that said the music that you listen to from 12 to 16, it's always going to translate some way in your taste, right?
Yeah.
So I still keep up with those things. But going back to the second part of your question, you said, was there any individuals or was there a changing moment that made me realize I want to do this?
I want to do this. I think like touching on your grandparents is phenomenal, first and foremost, like them giving you a balance of R&B to South. But there has to be a moment where you go, oh shit, I love this enough to want to do this full time. Let me change my question. Was your family encouraging of the push into music?
Actually, yeah, they never really had an issue with it. They just always knew, oh, that's the thing he likes to do. There's always been like signs, like when I was a kid, statute of limitations, my dad taught me how to illegally download music. It changed my life because in 2002, you mean to tell me I can get SpongeBob episodes and Jay-Z albums for the free? It's over. So I was like that type of kid in school. I was burning mixtapes. I was making mixtapes for people to the point where my school literally told me like, yeah, you got to cut that out because I was making money. I was selling them. And I was also selling like mixtapes I would find online, like Lil Wayne mixtapes, G-Unit mixtapes. The moment I knew I wanted to make music was Get Rich or Die Trying. That was it. I was a G-Unit soldier. Like I went to go see Get Rich or Die
album.
Trying.
Bruh.
It's a great
head
album.
to toe G-Unit. I would buy vitamin water regularly. I don't even like
Yo.
that. But only his.
How's that? Wait,
You just
go for it.
No, I forgot that there was that whole vitamin water.
Yeah,
moment.
bro.
There
was just that, the G-Unit Reeboks,
had them all.
The tank tops at some
Never
point.
had a tank top. I ain't gonna lie.
I was about to say, you live in Miami, bro. The tank top
no,
makes
no,
sense.
No, I'm not gonna
Nah,
lie.
he was a true sneakerhead. He stayed true to the.
Listen. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. You had that G-Unit tank top. You were a disgusting individual.
Okay, all right. Hey, in New York, I see. Listen, first and foremost, I'm originally from Brooklyn, but we had moved to Queens right before the 50 Cent moment. And when I tell you, living in Queens during that time was like the most amazing 12 to 14-year-old experience that you could have, just because everybody had G-Unit, everything. You know what I mean? So I'm curious for you to say, hey, I fell in love with that being in Miami. Is that just because of your homies?
That wasn't even them. It was just like I said, my aunt was like big on Rockefeller, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm picking up Rockefeller, I'm picking up Dipset. It's like you got Rockefeller, Dipset, and they're in that space, and then G Unit just came and was like, yeah, let me get that real quick. So you cannot not be
Right.
influenced by that. But also, I'm on the internet. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I was on the internet early. So I'm on the internet in 03, 04, looking for mixtapes. So I'm trying to get everything I can get. It could be a D-Block mixtape, it could be a Dipset mixtape, it could be early Wayne mixtape, pre-dedication mixtape. So all that type of music, I was just like, yo, what is this? Like, how are they making this? That was when I realized I got to do that in some way, shape, or form.
But when was the first time that you actually decided to
try it?
Yeah.
I remember, I think Graduation had came out, and I couldn't stop listening to it. So I was like, okay, I got to try to make a beat. So I downloaded Statute of Limitations. I downloaded a cracked version of FL Studios, and I tried to sample PYT the same way Kanye did it. And I was like, yeah, I don't know how to do this. And I left it alone for 4 years. And then I went to college and I got my refund check. But by that time, YouTube, they had like enough information on there for me to know how to do certain things. So I got my refund check and I bought a MacBook and I bought Reason. That was the first program I ever made music on. So my production career started when I was 18. My DJ career started when I was like 23, 24 maybe. Because my best friend, Gio, Babyface Gio.
Shout out Gio.
He started DJing, and he was like just DJing a lot. And we went to LA for a party of a particular individual who shall not be named, right? But that individual had Lil Uzi Vert there.
Okay.
And he had to play the party, right? But the whole time we were going to different cities with him, and I was like, big dog, I'm not gonna lie, I gotta get some of this money because I can't be traveling with you the DJ and I'm not getting this money.
Right.
So I told him, hey, when I get back home, I'm gonna buy the equipment. I want you to teach me. And I bought the same equipment he had, and he literally taught me. And I sat in my room for 6 months, 6 to 8 months, on some what people would do now, how they go buy a controller and then the next week they got a gig. It was that. But he also already knew we're already doing music, but he already has a certain particular type of taste. So I know if I put him on, he won't do bad. He may need guidance, but he's not going to do bad.
Right.
So he called me and
just
was
off
like,
the face of musical selection?
Just off the face. So a few months later, he called me, he's, you want to do sidebar? And I was like, all right, cool. Like, I'm there every Sunday anyway.
Yeah.
And then it just started from there. So I did sidebar for like a whole year. And then I slowly started picking up things, and we here.
Yeah, yeah. You were going to say something.
Damn, you spotted that. It's funny because I'm loving this like reflection on Miami from the perspective of a DJ.
Tread lightly.
What's the
Tread lightly.
Nah, I guess 2 questions. One, what's the most awkward party situation you've been in DJing? And then 2, has there been any Spanish or Latin influence in your DJ style now in regards to maybe you might realize a hip hop song samples, I don't know, some Hector Lavoe or something, and you're like, yo, I'm about to flip this in the club and go crazy. They about to just lose their mind. You know how sometimes DJs will find a sample of the thing, cue it up, play it a little slow, help you realize what's about to happen, use it as a build up, and then they take you from that build up to the actual record they want to go into. Do you have any of those moments in your set and in your world? And does Latin music influence any of that for you?
I think, I'm trying to remember the first question.
Awkward party
situation. Awkward party situation? No, I never really ran into too many awkward situations where I'm like, oh shit, okay, here we are. I've had random situations. Like I remember random celebrity situations. I think those are the funniest because it's like, why are you here?
Give us the game. Put us on.
With Gio, we used to throw this party called No Boys Allowed. And the premise of the party was that like it's a safe space for women. So the only way men could be allowed is if a woman invited you, right? So this was at like the peak of the party. And Gio just tapped me on the shoulder. He's like, yo, is that J. Cole? I'm like, I mean, I look and I'm like, shit, it is J. Cole. And I'm just like, my main question was like, how did you get in here? Regardless of celebrity status, there's clearly a rule. How did you get in here? By himself too. Look, just like this, all black, just in the corner, chilling. I'm rocking with this. And I was like, why are you here? What is the purpose of you being And there's been times where I've DJ'd parties and there's been celebrities there. Like I remember one time G-Eazy came up to me. He's like, yo, you could play this particular song. And I was like, big dog, I'm not gonna lie to you. It's not gonna happen, bro. I'm sorry. I got something for you that'll work, but this ain't gonna happen. I'm sorry. It's not gonna happen. So like maybe moments like that. But in terms of like the Latin influence, outside of what I explained to you of like my family's musical history, it's like you can't avoid the Latin influence in Miami. So that's like growing up and going to parties and they're playing like Aventura or there's salsa and merengue music playing. Like, even if you don't know the names of these songs, they're always going to be in the back of your head because everywhere you go, every family party you go to, every kid's party you go to, at some point in time, they're going to be playing these songs. So as I got older and I started playing different events that didn't necessarily have to do with hip hop and R&B, I had to learn how to cater to certain crowds. And I think that's like a special thing that Miami DJs have, because in certain cities, if you're not from a multicultural city, you don't have that experience of, okay, I only play for black or white people, right?
Yeah.
But if you're from a multicultural city, if you live in LA, if you live in New York, I think
in New York, you got to play reggae.
You got to play reggae. You got to play reggae. You got to play dembow.
Yeah.
You got to play bachata, because it's nothing but Puerto Ricans and Dominicans. So if you leave that crowd out, you're essentially going to have a night where it's like, you could have a great night, but it's still like a crowd that's yearning for more. But here, they don't do that. If you're playing if it's not a themed night and you're just playing an open night, at some point in time, you're going to play Latin music. I think as I've grown in my career, at a time when the Latin music boom was going crazy, I obviously learned and adapted towards that. But now I'm in a space where if I do play Latin music, it's the songs that I genuinely want to hear. Like for the past few months, when I play Soho House, at the end of the night, I will play like 20 minutes of bachata straight. I don't know why, but it's just like the perfect way to end the night for people. And it could be all types of people within the venue, but it's just, I play that and people get up and start to dance.
What bachata joints are you playing?
I was just about to ask.
I'm not gonna lie.
20 minutes?
I was just about to ask.
Because I'm going to play what I know.
Okay.
But usually, my homegirls be there, so I'll literally tap them, like, shout out to Tidal. I'll tap them real quick and I'll be like, yo, give me a bachata song right now. And they'll just give me songs. So there's songs that, like, I may have only played that night. I downloaded them, they're there, and I just know, hey, one by one, right? Obviously, I'm going to play Aventura.
Obviously.
If you don't, and you're talking about playing bachata, you know what I'm saying? But I'm playing the run-of-the-mill because right now I'm still learning more. But my favorite Aventura song is Por un Segundo.
Okay.
Because I remember that song from being in, like, middle school and high school.
And being like quinces?
Being at quinces or being at parties, and they're playing, and I'm always like, why does it sound like... That's the one Aventura song that doesn't sound like any other bachata song, only because it has like a Bollywood influence during the hook. And I was always like, why does it sound like that?
Do you remember that era where a bunch of music had that...
The Bollywood influence?
That Bollywood
the
influence?
Indian influence is from like 02 to 06. Maybe?
I wonder if we look up when that song came out, if it's that time period. Yeah, let's do it.
Let's see.
Because I guarantee... And I know that there's probably a TikTok out there about this. Because I'm so curious to know.
2009.
That's when that song came out?
2009.
Why that influence? Like that, there was like that era where a bunch of hip hop songs were very with a specific.
They had an Indian influence.
Yeah.
Like an Indian Arab influence.
What's crazy is I was working with an artist and I met another artist's manager, and they were showing me some stats and like metrics from their artist. And the song is completely like they're rapping in Spanish and everything, and the shit's going up. But it legit went like I'm talking about viral in India. Like I don't know what the connection is, but it went. When I tell you viral, legit, we thought it was robots. We thought it was bots. But then you like look it up on TikTok, and they're doing TikToks to it there.
Oh, dope.
And I think it's just the similarity in the sounds.
True.
It could be like and also, tambourines and things along that
line.
The percussion for sure, but also they just have so many people. Like, they're the second most populous place on earth. So it's like, it would be hard for them to avoid certain things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
so when you were growing up and you said you would go to like parties and things like that. So in your friends' parties, let's say, what kind of music, like were y'all like more playing hip hop, or did you have friends that their parties were like Spanish music too?
So most of my friends growing up were Spanish. Like I've had that particular mix where a good amount of my friends were black, a good amount of my friends were
Because
Spanish,
you were
right?
like Hialeah adjacent and then like
Down
Kendall.
south,
Yeah.
Kendall, Cutler Ridge adjacent, right? But a lot of my actual like real childhood friends were all Spanish. They were all
Mhm.
Cubans, right? I would go to their parties and their families are just playing the music that they would play,
Mhm.
right? But then as I got older and I started to go like late middle school, early high school, you start to go to different parties where it's like a mix, right?
Mhm.
Because I would go to Gio's parties and his family would play Latin music, but they would also let us play whatever we wanted.
Right.
So we would be playing like whatever was current at the time. Like I said, we listened to a lot of Kid Cudi, a lot of Wale, but then also that's like time I was in high school. I'm kind of old, so that's
If
2007.
you're old.
That's 2007, 2011. So that's D4L, Shop Boys, Swag Surfing. That's like all of that.
Yeah.
T-Pain, like prime T-Pain. I could hear all of that at one point. But yeah, I would hear a lot of different things. And like I said, we play whatever we want. A lot of people don't know it. As a kid growing up, I liked pop music and like Christian rock. So we do that now when we play parties. I'll
Right.
play NSYNC. I'll play Backstreet Boys, or we'll try to find ways to play different songs like that because it's like those are just the songs we grew up on. But a lot of Latin music and a lot of like hip hop and R&B
Yeah.
has been intertwined.
So in your family parties, though, it sounds like a lot of the influence was your aunts and uncles who were a little bit closer in age to you. So and also they sound like they were more Americanized. So they're listening to a lot of hip hop, and the family parties were also like hip hop, or like you have those
So-
OG Jamaican parties.
No. So on my dad's side of the family, they would listen to their stuff like on their own time. Like when my dad came to pick me up, I'm looking for the CD book immediately. I just show my age. I'm looking for the CD book because I'm like, where's 400 Degrees? Where's It Was Written by Nas? Like I'm looking for that, right?
So this is in your dad's
This is in my dad's
collection?
car,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So, because him and my uncle, they shared like a CD case.
Okay.
And they just had everything like No Limit, Cash Money, Rough Riders. They had everything there, right?
Because
But
your dad was a teenager.
when he moved here.
Oh, okay.
My mom was
It's
18.
making sense
Yeah,
now.
they were like in that age range when they had me. So that's why I said when my mom was listening to music, it was current music. It was
Right.
Mary J. Blige, it was Monica, it was, you know what I'm saying? It was
Yeah.
Brandy. But my dad, when he's listening to rap music at the time, as I'm paying attention, is Nas, it's Biggie, it's Wu-Tang, it's this, that, and the third. He never played Jay-Z because he didn't like Jay-Z. Like, I had to get Jay-Z from my aunt. But they had that. But when it came to family parties, realistically, that's like my grandfather and my grandmother controlling the music. So they're playing like Latin music, or like I said, they're playing Bob Marley, or they're playing Barry White.
Mhm.
But then when I'm on my mom's side, they're playing like Earth, Wind, and Fire, or Michael Jackson, or I'm not gonna say that man's name, somebody else, because
Right.
he was very prevalent in the 90s, you know what I'm saying? But they had like that on lock
Right.
for me at those parties.
Yeah. Do you speak Spanish?
Poquito. My Spanish is trash, right? And my Spanish is trash not because of me, not because of my family, because my grandmother was adamant on that. She always tried to teach me Spanish. But I was only there on the weekends, so it's like I can't retain a lot. And my dad told me this story, and I was like, yeah, you shouldn't have did that. He says that my grandma was trying to teach me Spanish, and I looked her dead in her face. I had to have been like 3 or 4, and I was like, I don't want to learn. And he was like, all right, don't teach them. I was like, that's the stupidest thing you could ever did, bro. Like,
Yeah.
So she tried as much as she could, but it never stuck with me. But as I've gotten older, I've been in spaces where it's just flying. Like they're only speaking Spanish, and I remember certain things, so I have to pick up on it. Like where I work, everybody speaks Spanish. So it's like they'll be speaking in Spanish and I'll just be like doing my work, but I'm slowly picking up on everything like, oh, this, you know.
Yeah.
So it's as you're integrated more and more into it, I start to learn. I've tried to teach myself and that shit don't work. It busts every time. Duolingo hate me.
Do you feel less Hispanic because you don't speak Spanish?
Not at all. I still grew up with a predominantly Latin family. So you can't tell me I'm not. I can literally introduce you to members of my family.
Mhm.
I got some Cuban ass cousins. I got a cousin named Jose Alexi. That is a Cuban ass name if I've ever heard one, right?
Yeah.
I still grew up with this side of my family. It's not, oh, okay, I only got to see them every now and then. It's no, I'm there every weekend, spend summers, the entire summer with my family.
Mhm.
So it's not like I never had that connection to that part of my family. You know what I mean?
Do you identify as Hispanic when people ask you?
I don't necessarily be like, oh, I'm like Afro-Latino, which I am, and I
Right.
should say that. But it's like, obviously people have preconceived notions and they'll look and immediately determine what they believe you are. So I don't really speak on it unless I'm asked. But once I'm asked, yeah, I'll tell you automatically. Or if I feel like you trying me, like I'm not, I will immediately let you know, hey, this is what it really is. Don't get it confused.
You should make sure that you like follow Cuban influencers. The way that Cuban influencers make reels and TikToks, genius.
First of all, Cuban people have the most interesting Spanish I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
Because if you grew up around a lot of different Latin countries, you start to break apart. Like,
Yeah, you pick up.
okay, who you like? I can tell.
So you can pick that up even though you don't quite understand it too much, but you can pick up the different.
I can pick up, like, I can tell when you're Colombian based on the way you speak Spanish.
Yeah.
Colombian and Venezuelans, I can tell how they speak Spanish. In terms of appearance, I can for sure pick up on like Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Cubans, Colombians, Venezuelans, and then I'm trying to think who else. Those 5 for sure. Like appearance, I can pick up on that. The
Mhm.
way they speak, I can for sure pick up on Cubans, Dominicans, and Puerto Ricans.
Yeah, I mean they all have different singy song ways.
Listen, Cubans, I remember I used to hear like my family, like my grandfather, he would talk about how Cubans would speak like back home. And I would just be like, but that doesn't make sense. He's like, yeah, I know that's the point. It's not supposed to.
Yeah.
You know, Cubans just have this like Cubans and Dominicans, to me, they have this rapid fire way of speaking where it's if you haven't spent time around them or if you didn't grow up around them, you're going to be lost. You know?
Yeah.
They have their own codes.
Yeah. I think in general, when you talk to anybody really in Spanish, there's so much lingo that you don't know, slang, but also, yes, the way that they're like certain inflections and tones and stuff like that you can't even pick up. You can't even pick up what the word was to translate it in your head to whatever Spanish.
People from Argentina too.
Yeah.
They have a particular way of speaking Spanish and they have a distinctive tone that they speak in. It's like a higher pitched tone.
Yeah.
They're very distinctive as well. Like
Yeah.
you can tell when somebody's from, or they have some sort of like Argentinian influence within their life.
Right. Has your dad ever gone back to Cuba?
Nah,
Try to visit or anything?
I'm not gonna lie. I don't think any of my family, like once they left, I think that was it for them. They're like, we're glad.
Yeah. Have you ever been curious?
To go?
Yeah.
At one point. And then, but my grandparents, they were always against it. Like they were like, don't go. Please don't go.
Yeah.
But I think because of like the history of the past like 80 years or so, they were obviously afraid of me going and something happening. But I think like now I'm not going to say it's relaxed, but I think like you would have in a completely different time than you would if you went in like the 90s or the early 2000s.
Right. I think there's enough people going back now that you could at least get a good sense of what your experience might be like just by asking people that you know, because I see people that go often that I was so surprised at how often they go back. And they're like, yeah, I'm there all the time. I see my cousin all the time. I'm like, oh, I didn't realize it was that lax.
I see people go back too, and I'm like, damn, I didn't know. I know somebody who told me that they went in like 2016 and they're not Latin. So, but they were telling me about their experience and they were like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, like it's a beautiful country with beautiful people, but like their conditions were just terrible. Like we had no clean water, things of that nature. But then I know people who are of Cuban descent and they're like, I'm there like at least every other month.
Yeah.
With no issue.
Yeah.
But also it's like, I feel like if you grew up in a Cuban household, right? But you grew up here, there are still sentiments of the island itself. So when they go back, I'm assuming it's familiar because it's like certain ways you grow up, you can see it still there. Like you can see it here in the way that people live. So when you go there, it's okay. Maybe their living conditions aren't the best, but it's still the same.
Yeah.
Like I can still get the same feel. This is my family.
The way they do things, the way they organize things in their home, the things that they buy.
Used to. If you got a statue of Jesus here, I know you got one there. It's,
Right.
It's not. You know what I mean? It's not this. It's not too far off.
For the most part, because then
Yeah.
you got your bougie Hispanic people that try to distance themselves from.
We know
Yeah.
your kind. Okay. I know.
What's your favorite Cuban like dish?
Vaca Frita.
Oh, he came ready.
I ain't gonna
That
lie.
man.
I ain't gonna
Vaca
lie.
Frita.
I had Vaca Frita this week.
From where?
Old Havana.
Ooh, okay.
Old Havana on 8th Street. I'm not gonna lie. Listen, it's a few places, right, that can get it right because I don't like to eat beef or pork. Like I stopped. That was one thing. Like obviously that's big in Cuban culture, but my dad, he stopped eating pork like when I was like 13.
Okay. Do you know like why?
My father's a little bit of a conspiracy theorist. That's where I get it from. He stopped, and it just influenced me to stop. And I have periods where I may go back. But for
Wait,
the
so
most
then
part,
y'all wasn't doing?
no. Oh, they was doing it.
Okay.
That pig getting cooked. But he would not participate because I don't want to eat chicharrones. I don't want to eat any of that because it's like, it's good, but he read this book. And I remember he read this book because this guy had like an infomercial and he just kept showing me the infomercial. Like when I say my dad is a real conspiracy theorist, obviously looking at where they came from, I get it. But he's a true conspiracy theorist. So like he just clipped it and I did the same. But I've had periods where I go back, yada. But that's one thing I will not go back on. Vaca Frita, I only eat Vaca Frita de pollo. I won't
Dang,
eat
now I want
standard
Vaca Frita.
I'm having that
From
tomorrow.
Old Havana?
Old Havana.
Oh,
But
okay.
but I will
In
say
Calle Ocho.
Cayocho, but I will say this. Sometimes I get it delivered. That's the bougie part. You gotta go get it. They gotta
No,
cook
yeah.
it there.
Listen, I know that we got into this culture of food delivery,
Sometimes you gotta go get it.
but it just don't
Ain't the
hit.
same.
No matter what. Every
You
time
gotta
I'm
get it
disappointed.
from the soil.
It's like the pictures look good and you're like, oh man, I can't wait to eat XYZ. And it just doesn't hit when you get it at home. It's
not the same.
I
It's
think
like
food delivery should have just stayed with pizza and Chinese food. Those are the only things that can still taste really good when they get to your house. Anything else?
I'm
You have a different, maybe one thing that.
trying to think. What have I had in the last?
McDonald's don't hit, fries don't hit, Wendy's don't hit, none of that
They don't
hit.
hit.
Everything be cold.
I ain't gonna lie. You can't really eat anything from McDonald's because all they
That's
food
true.
look like an arts and crafts project. You know, so that ain't really it. You know what I'm saying? But
I'm really
I
trying
think-
to think.
so there's this one place I like to eat at. It's a chain restaurant. But
Okay.
it's the way they cook fish, because that's another thing. I've been trying to steadily go pescatarian.
Uh-huh.
Rice. I don't know if you've ever been to Rice.
Oh, yes. Huh?
Okay. People like their chicken. It's orange and shit. It's cool. I don't want that, bro. They have a wild caught snapper that they cook and they like pan sear. I don't know what type of tricks
Mm-hmm.
or wizardry they do back there, but I've never ordered from there and had it delivered and it's been trash. Never. Biggest piece of fish I've ever seen in my life, and it's always good. Always. It's not Latin.
Yeah.
It's Mediterranean, but delivery-wise, they don't miss.
Okay.
They always get it right. But you're absolutely right. It'd be a lot of places, and then they overcharge you for
I
the
think that
delivery.
adds to the distaste.
It's crazy. 'Cause
That I was like, I paid this much.
if I order from Rice on Uber Eats, for the plate I get, they're charging me $28 immediately. If I order through the Rice app, it's $20. If I go and get it, it's like $15.
What?
Capitalism.
They're robbing us.
They're robbing
It's
us
just so
blind.
convenient.
I know.
But realistically, it just doesn't hit the same.
And on top of that, that's how they get you, because they know you're like, oh, you're being lazy. Yeah, let me hit you with these extra charges. Who you was supposed to get your ass up
Convenience
and go
fee.
pick that? Yeah, who you was supposed to get up and go pick that up? So
I gotta try this Vaca Frita from Old
Old
Havana.
Vaca Frita
Now I
de pollo.
want
Old
Vaca
Havana.
Frita really bad. Let's do this thingy-majigger.
The 10
Yeah,
can.
bruh.
The tin can of all tin cans.
This tin can was in your crib too?
Listen, man, if your family ain't had that can, I can't. I don't know if you're verified.
I can't trust you. That's honestly
can't
how I feel.
trust you.
I can't trust you,
If
bro.
you ain't had that can and it wasn't cookies in it, I can't trust you.
Yeah.
I had a friend that unlocked another memory the other day of the green tin can, the export soda cookies.
Oh yeah, that's real.
The big
back
one.
with
That's
that.
where you put rice in.
Yeah,
You going
yes.
back with
I
that one.
forgot about that
or
one.
the try popcorn can.
Yes.
They used to do that too. They used to flip that for rice too, the whole rice.
We just like storage
Convenience.
container.
Yeah, people see them and Latin people see empty things and be like, "Yo, what can
This
I
is
put
good. This is
here?
good material
Yes.
right here.
Yeah, I need this
We
in my
can't throw
life
this
right
away.
here. What can go in here? Next thing you know, you open it, it's nothing but bobby pins.
Oh, bro, that's guaranteed.
All right, what do you think?
What's in there? Just a whole bunch of questions. You said we get into this portion. I can't imagine it being anything else.
The portion of this portion is that you have to guess what's inside.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be real hot if it's actually cookies in there. 'Cause I'm like, damn, y'all been hiding these the whole time.
Have you had the cookies? Have you actually tasted the cookies?
Man, hey, look, I know a tin can like that hate to see me come because I'm busting it down. I'm a cookie. I have a sweet tooth, so I'm a cookie fanatic because out of all sweets, cookies is my thing. I'll go
Really?
somewhere and I'll be like, yo, go get your food. Go get your food. Don't look
Alright.
at anything else at the register. Peanut butter cookie, white macadamia nut cookie.
I'm not a cookie.
Listen, Blueprint
person.
Cookies fire. We know. They have one in Davie.
Mhm.
There's
What
one
is
in
it?
Fort Lauderdale. Blueprint Cookies.
Okay.
I think that's the name of them. I'm pretty sure.
This place called, I
But-
just found out called, it's like Curly Sue or something like that. They make the
I'ma look
craziest
this
like
shit
s'mores cookie I've ever had in my life. I don't remember the name. I think it's like Cindy Lou. That's the name. Cindy Lou Cookies.
Now I gotta go
yo,
there too.
I ain't gonna lie. All these other like designer gourmet, yeah, she putting them to
Cindy
shame.
Lou
First
cookies.
round knockout.
This is a brick and mortar.
This is a brick and mortar.
Ooh,
Cindy
okay.
Lou Cookie.
I don't even like cookies like that.
Yo,
Nah, bro. Cookies
talking
is
about-
where it's
I
at.
like it when they're gooey in the middle.
That's what Cindy Lou
That's
got
Cindy
it
Lou?
like that. She got like a coffee cookie that's not supposed to be good and it's amazing. Like this is not supposed to be that.
gotta
Okay.
look that
You
up.
know who has the good cookie? Is it called Insomnia Cookies? Wait, they have
So-
the Maria cookie. It's a cookie that is like the pastelito cookie.
Nah, that's
It-
Night
and
Owl. That's Night Owl. Night Owl. 100%. Night Owl's fire.
That cookie, oof.
That's like the
when it's fresh
Night Owl's a go.
out the oven.
I'm gonna tell you, listen, I used to be the night owl.
Oh,
right?
let's go.
When we lived in, we
used to-
lived together at one
Hey,
point.
used to be the night owl.
Yeah.
But I got to a certain point where I was like, I ain't gonna lie, this ain't really hitting like that no more. I think
Damn.
it's the,
I'm
know what it
telling
is?
you, bruh.
I don't like when places like make a cookie that got a whole bunch of stuff on it
hmm
and they OD.
And you can't
It's
even
the
enjoy.
kitchen sink cookie.
Yeah.
I don't like it anymore.
I feel you.
I just want the cookie I want.
Listen, Blueprint Cookie, try that. There's some of them around here.
And Cindy Lou.
And then if you ever in Orlando, you ever end up at Disney Springs, there's a spot called Summer House has a bakery extension of it.
Okay.
And when I tell you, Summer House got this salted chocolate chip cookie, like this salted caramel chocolate chip cookie.
Salted caramel.
Bruh.
I'm a fiend for salted caramel.
Bruh.
I'm busting it down every
Bruh.
time. I don't
That
care.
joint hot. Just go for it though.
Back to the target at
There's
hand.
gotta be cookies in there, man.
All right, that's your final answer?
That's my final answer. I'm gonna be extremely upset if it ain't no cookies in here. But ain't nan cookie in here.
Now one
Not
cookie.
one cookie. What is this? Wavy Cuban sandwich. Are these? Do they have any banana influence? Do they have
Like plantain chips?
yeah plantain?
I have not tasted them. You gotta taste it.
You got
Because
to
I'm
show
not
the
gonna
can.
lie, this is something I get into with a lot of like other Latin people. I am a firm hater of everything in the banana family. That is
Whoa.
banana.
Oh, you don't like plantain chips?
How you don't like plantains?
I like plantain chips or I
Oh.
like tostones, but plantain, like the
like
actual,
sweet plantains?
hate them. Bananas, despise them.
What's wrong with y'all?
I
Like
think they're the worst things to ever.
y'all both
exist.
got to clock out, go home. Like what?
I'll tell you.
Taste these,
I'll tell you
taste
this right
these.
now, real quick. I
Alright.
don't like anything in the banana family, and I'm prejudiced against all white sauces that are not Alfredo.
That's crazy.
What was it?
That's a very interesting chip.
Let's describe it.
You can taste the pickle.
Okay.
You can taste the jamon, queso, but
I like the crunch on the microphone. I needed that. That's the.
I ain't gonna lie. This is a real Cuban sandwich.
Really?
Try it.
I gotta.
Oh shit!
There it goes.
I'm scared because I don't like pickles.
Oh, you gonna taste that pickle?
Oh man. Okay.
There it goes. Yep.
It's a real Cuban sandwich.
How did they do that?
Listen, Lay's, they have
Like I can taste the grilled.
yeah.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. It tastes like a real Cuban sandwich.
Okay, the pickles weren't overpowering, but it tastes like the essence.
All right,
of
no free
Cuban
promo.
sandwich.
Turn it back around.
No free
It
promo.
really tastes. That's what it is. It tastes like the essence of a Cuban
The
sandwich.
essence
Like,
of a Cuban sandwich. Wow.
you can taste like the cheese, the ham, the pickle.
Now I want Vaca Frita. But we always ask the guests if they have anything that, like a saying, maybe that your grandparents would say, like a very Cuban catchphrase or something that you would hear whenever you were visiting them. There's something. A memory has been
I
unlocked.
do have one.
What would they say?
So he's not doing too well right now. But my grandfather, this is like something he always says, because my grandfather's 6'3", tall as hell, right? So as soon as I walk in the house, obviously, you know, I'm height deficient. I'm 5'7" on a good day. So I walk in every time. It doesn't matter when I see him. He's Camaron immediately, because he's just towering over me at all times. So that's the one thing I'll always remember is just him calling me a shrimp.
Oh, that's actually really cute.
That's like the
Aw.
one thing I can just hear it in my head right now.
You gotta
Yeah.
get it tatted at some point.
Yeah, you gotta
I
get
might-
the Camaron
You know what's
tatted.
crazy? I have my grandmother's name tatted on me, right? And I wanted to get it touched up. Don't mind me if I'm ashy. You know, it's all good. I wanted to get it touched up with roses, right? But like I said, my grandfather's not doing too well. I was thinking of getting something for the both of them, right? And what I ideally wanted to do was they have this picture of them the day they got married.
Mhm.
And I was going to get it in a locket. I think I'm still sold on that idea.
Mm-hmm.
But now I never thought of that, like the shrimp.
Yeah.
So I might have to do that as well.
Yeah, you gotta do it. You
Yeah, I
gotta
gotta
do
do
it
that
for
one real quick.
abuelito.
Yeah,
Fire.
I got to do that one real
Yeah.
quick. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us. It was a
you all.
pleasure having you here.
This was fun.
This is gonna be such a treat because, like you said, you're very reserved, and most
Yeah.
people don't.
They never
don't
get to hear
know.
me speak.
Yeah.
Because I don't like, one, I don't like talking in the club. It's 6 speakers around me. Your breath hot. You're drinking tequila for an hour straight.
This is what I mean. He's spicy. He's low key
But
spicy.
it's true because I just don't understand. Listen, I understand the networking part of nightlife, bro. Your breath hot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hot in here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's speakers in
But
all
yeah.
of my ears.
Networking is not a thing you do at the club, dog. That should be like
No.
that should be like a rule.
But people do that.
People love to do it. People
know,
love
I know.
to. I don't get this. Let's have America. Let's have a conversation.
Yep,
Why
right
am
there.
I playing? Why am I DJing? And you feel this is the time where you want to have a full conversation with me. I got 30 seconds to figure out how I'm going to dictate this party. And now is when you want to know about me. People, use your discretion.
I
Please.
get it.
Use
Enough
your discretion.
said.
Please use your discretion.
Thank you, everyone, for listening and tuning in. If you enjoy the show, if you enjoy the Growing Up Spanglish podcast, share it with your friends. Tell your mom. Tell your abuelita, tia, everybody. Follow us on wherever you listen to your podcast. Spotify, Apple, Amazon, all of those. Follow us, rate, and review.
Also,
Oh, shout out to CoLab Studios holding us down. We love this space.
yes.
It's an amazing space.
Peace.
Yo soy boricua.